We all know that person, the one who's like a rock. No matter what life throws at them, no matter how overwhelming things get, they just handle it all on their own. And yeah, you look at them and you think, wow, they're so strong. But maybe, just maybe, you also worry about them a little bit.
So, have you ever really stopped to think about it? Like, why? Why do they never ever ask for help? Is it just pure stubbornness? Or, is there something more going on under the surface? Something deeper happening in their head?
Well, here's the thing. Behind that impressive wall of self-reliance, there's almost always a hidden price to pay. They're going through their battles completely alone, and that can create this really quiet, lonely struggle that the rest of the world just doesn't get to see.
And look, this isn't just some random personality quirk. Psychology actually gives us a roadmap here. It shows that this deep-seated refusal to ask for help is usually tied to some pretty specific things: past experiences, certain personality traits, and yeah, some big hidden fears. So today, we're going to peel back the layers on this silent struggle. And who knows, you might even see a little bit of yourself in this.
Okay, so if we want to understand this, we've got to go back, way back. For a lot of people, the roots of this are planted really early on, in childhood. Those first experiences we have, they literally create the blueprint for how we see the world, and, crucially, whether or not we feel safe asking other people for help.
Does any of this ring a bell? Think about it. When a kid hears these kinds of messages over and over again, or maybe they just grow up where nobody's really around to help, they learn a massive lesson, and fast. You are on your own. It teaches them that asking for help isn't just a bad idea, it's being a bother. It's a sign that you failed.
And that powerful lesson? It hardens into this core belief that psychologists call learned independence. It's basically that little voice in your head that says, hey, if you want something done right, or honestly, if you want it done at all, you better just do it yourself. It stops being a strategy and starts becoming who you are.
And of course, a huge piece of this puzzle is trust. I mean, think about it. If you've ever reached out for help and been let down, or worse, betrayed, your brain doesn't forget that. It builds a wall. It creates a defense mechanism. And that mechanism's conclusion is simple. Relying on yourself isn't just a choice, it's a survival tactic. It just feels safer that way.
Right, so we've talked about the past, but how does all that history play out right now, today? Well, it all gets baked into this constant inner monologue. It's like a script that's always running in the background, telling you exactly how to act in the moment.
And this is probably the #1 line from that script. I don't want to be a bother. It comes from this really deep fear of being a burden on other people. So you're constantly doing this mental math, right? Weighing your problems against what you think is everyone else's capacity to help, and you almost always decide it's better to just stay silent. The real irony? Most of the time, the people in your life would be more than happy to help if you just asked.
This gets at a huge misunderstanding we have as a culture. We have this belief that asking for help is a sign of weakness, right? That it means you're not capable. But the psychological reality? It's the complete opposite. To know your own limits, to have the self-awareness to say, I need help with this, that isn't weakness. That's a sign of incredible strength.
And let's not forget about control. For a lot of people, this is the whole ballgame. When you do it all yourself, you're in the driver's seat. You control every single step, every decision, the whole shebang. The second you ask for help, you have to give up some of that control. And for a lot of us, that feeling of uncertainty is way scarier than whatever problem we're trying to solve.
So when you put all of this together, the lessons from the past, the fear of being a burden, the need for control, it's not just a mindset anymore. It becomes a habit. It's like a muscle you've worked out every single day. Self-reliance just becomes your automatic go-to response for everything. Now, here's the tricky part and why this habit is so tough to break. In some ways, it works. People who are used to doing everything alone get really good at it. They become amazing problem solvers. They're resilient. They can handle incredible pressure. And every single time they succeed on their own, it just reinforces that core belief. See? I don't need anyone. It just makes that cycle spin faster. But, and this is a huge but, this whole habit completely ignores a fundamental truth about what it means to be human. We're social animals. We are literally wired for connection and cooperation. Sharing our struggles isn't some fluffy, nice-to-have idea. It is absolutely essential for our mental health, for cutting down on stress, for everything.
Okay, so we've unpacked the why. Now what? What do we do with all this? Well, it really comes down to flipping the script on what we think strength and vulnerability actually mean.
It really is this simple, but also this profound. Life was never supposed to be a solo mission. We're designed to be in this together, to support each other. This whole idea that you have to carry every single burden by yourself all the time, that's the story we made up. Think about it. The strongest buildings in the world have the biggest support systems. People are no different.
And that brings us to the real heart of it all. In a world that screams at us to be independent and self-made, maybe the most courageous, the bravest thing you can possibly do is to turn to someone and just say, I need help. That's not admitting defeat. It's just admitting you're human.
So I'll leave you with this. If any part of this conversation felt familiar, if you're the one who's always carrying the weight of the world on your own shoulders, maybe it's time to ask yourself this one question. Because going it alone doesn't have to be the only way.